The lion's roar echoed through the stone corridors beneath the Colosseum, and Marcus knew one simple truth. Tomorrow, he would either kill it, or it would tear him apart in front of 50,000 screaming Romans. He was 19 years old. He had been a slave for exactly 11 days. This is the story they don't tell you about the Roman games. Not the glory, not the honor, the part where human beings were forced into an arena with starved predators, given broken weapons, and told to entertain an empire that had already decided they were worthless. Marcus wasn't a criminal. He wasn't a warrior. 3 weeks ago, he was a farmer's son in Gaul, working his father's land, planning to marry a girl named Arria in the spring. Then the Roman soldiers came. They killed his father for resisting. They took Marcus, his 2 younger brothers, and 17 other young men from his village, chained them together, marched them 800 miles to Rome. The slave traders looked at Marcus's build, broad shoulders, strong legs from years of plowing fields, and made their decision in seconds. Bestiaris, one of them said, marking his shoulder with hot iron. Beast fighter, the lowest rank in the arena hierarchy, lower than gladiators, lower than criminals. You weren't expected to survive, you were expected to die interestingly. Now he sat in a cell 30 feet below the Colosseum floor, listening to the sounds that would haunt whatever time he had left. The scrape of claws on stone, the wet sound of raw meat being thrown into cages, the sobbing of the man next to him, a Greek merchant who'd been accused of insulting a senator's wife. Tomorrow was the merchant's first fight, too. He was 52 years old and had never held a sword. "They're starving them," a voice said from the shadows. Marcus turned. An older slave sat against the far wall, his body covered in scars that looked like claw marks. His left ear was missing. The beasts, they don't feed them for 3 days before a hunt, makes them aggressive, desperate. "You fought before?" Marcus asked. The man laughed, but there was no humor in it. 16 times. You know how many bestiari survived their first fight? He held up 3 fingers, 3 out of 10. You know how many survived 5 fights? He made a fist. Almost none. His name was Decius. He'd been a bestiaris for 4 years. Before that, he was a Roman soldier who'd been caught stealing from his commander's tent. The arena was his punishment. The gladiators train for months. They get real weapons, real armor, medical care. They're investments. Us, we're the warm-up act. The crowd wants blood before the main event, and they don't care whose. Marcus felt his hands shaking. What do I do tomorrow? You pray they give you a spear and not a knife. You pray it's a leopard and not a bear, and you pray to every god you know that when it charges, you don't freeze. Decius leaned forward. The moment you step onto that sand, everything you were before disappears. Your name doesn't matter. Your family doesn't matter. There's only one question that matters. Can you kill before you're killed? The sounds above them changed. Footsteps, thousands of them. The crowd was arriving for the day's games. Marcus could hear their excitement, their laughter, the vendors selling wine and grilled meat. They were gathering to watch him die. A guard appeared at the cell door. "Up, all of you. Time to see what you're fighting." They were led through the hypogeum, the maze of tunnels beneath the arena. Marcus had heard about this place, but seeing it was different. It was a factory of death. Dozens of cages, each holding a different nightmare. An African lion pacing, its mane matted with old blood. A brown bear, easily 800 pounds, slamming its body against iron bars. A pack of wolves, their eyes following every movement. The trainer, a man named Carpophorus, walked along the cages like a farmer inspecting livestock. He was famous. Marcus had heard other slaves whispering his name with a mixture of fear and awe. Carpophorus had killed over 20 beasts in a single day once. He decided which animals fought which slaves. He stopped in front of Marcus, looked him up and down, then pointed to a cage at the end of the corridor. That one, the Numidian leopard, female. She killed her mate yesterday. She's angry. Marcus looked into the cage. The leopard stared back, and he saw something terrible in her eyes. Not just hunger, rage, pain. She was trapped, just like him, and tomorrow the Romans would force them to destroy each other for entertainment. How do I— You don't, Carpophorus interrupted. She's faster than you, stronger than you. You'll get a short sword and a wooden shield. She'll have claws that can open your throat in one swipe. He smiled, but the crowd loves an underdog. Die bravely, and they'll remember you for almost an hour. That night, Marcus didn't sleep. He could hear the leopard somewhere below, making sounds that weren't quite growls. They sounded almost like crying. Tomorrow, the games would begin.
The sun had risen, but down in the hypogeum it was still endless night. The sound was the first thing to change. At dawn it had been a murmur. Now at midday it was a physical vibration, shaking dust from the ceiling. 50,000 people stomping their feet. The morning beast hunts were finishing. The executions were next. Then the main event. Marcus sat in the holding area, a cramped wooden pen directly under the arena trapdoors. There were 10 of them left. 7 had already gone up. None had come back. He watched the elevator mechanism work. It was a terrifying piece of engineering, a wooden platform powered by 4 sweating slaves turning a massive capstan. Every 20 minutes, the platform would lower. A body, or parts of one, would be dragged off. Fresh sand would be thrown on the wood to soak up the slickness. Then a live man would be shoved onto it. "Next!" a guard shouted. It was the Greek merchant. The man was weeping openly now, his knees buckling. He didn't walk, he had to be dragged. The guards didn't handle him with cruelty, just indifference, like a butcher moving a side of beef. Marcus watched as the man was strapped into a harness that would keep him upright on the platform. The merchant looked at Marcus, his eyes wide, pleading for help that didn't exist. "I didn't do it," he whispered. "I swear to the gods." The capstan turned, the ropes groaned. The merchant rose slowly toward the square of blinding light in the ceiling. Marcus closed his eyes, but he couldn't shut out the sounds. Creak, creak, creak. Then the platform hit the arena level with a thud. A roar from the crowd, deafening, hungry. Then silence. Then a sound Marcus would never forget, the wet crunch of a hyena's jaw snapping bone. It happened so fast, the merchant didn't even have time to scream. "You're up, farm boy," Carpophorus said. Marcus opened his eyes. The trainer was standing over him, holding 2 things, a short spear, maybe 4 feet long, and a parma, a small round shield made of wood and leather. It was useless against a lion's paw, but it was better than nothing. "The leopard is fast," Carpophorus said, his voice low. He wasn't mocking him anymore. This was business. "She'll go for the neck. If you back up, she'll lunge. If you run, she'll catch you. Your only chance is to step into the strike." "Step into it?" Marcus managed to choke out. "Make her think you're the predator. Animals fear crazy things. Be crazy." The guards grabbed Marcus's arms. He felt lightheaded, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. They marched him to the platform. The wood was slippery, red and wet. The merchant's blood was still warm on his sandals. As they strapped him in, the noise from above shifted. The announcer, the editor, was shouting something. "From the rebel provinces of Gaul, fresh meat for the darker beasts." The capstan started to turn. Creak, creak, creak. Marcus looked at Decius, the veteran, who was still waiting in the corner. Decius gave him a single grim nod. "Die well." The darkness of the hypogeum began to fall away. The square of light above grew larger, brighter, burning his eyes after days in the dark. The heat hit him first, the baking Roman sun reflecting off the white sand. Then the smell, iron, sweat, and rotting meat. The platform locked into place. He was in the Colosseum. It was bigger than he could have imagined. Walls of people stretching up to the sky, a sea of white togas and colorful tunics. They were screaming, throwing flowers, betting. But Marcus didn't look at them. He looked across the burning sand to the trapdoor opening 30 yards away. A shadow moved inside the darkness of the pit. Low, sleek, spotted. The Numidian leopard stepped out in the sun, blinking. Then she lowered her head, her tail twitching. Then she saw him. She didn't roar, she didn't pace, she just crouched.
Time moved differently on the sand. Marcus didn't remember stepping off the platform. He didn't remember his legs carrying him forward. But suddenly he was 10 feet from the edge, the short spear gripped so tightly in his right hand that his knuckles had gone white. The shield felt like a child's toy in his left. The leopard hadn't moved yet. She was watching him with eyes that were eerily intelligent, calculating. Marcus had hunted rabbits back in Gaul. He knew what a predator looked like before it struck. This was different. She wasn't hunting for food. She was hunting because she'd been tortured into madness. The crowd was chanting something. He couldn't make out the words. It was just noise, a wall of sound pressing down on him from all sides. Then she moved. Not a charge, a stalk. 3 steps forward, body low to the sand, muscles rippling under that spotted coat. She was testing him, waiting to see if he would run. Every instinct in Marcus's body screamed, "Run!" But Carpophorus's words echoed in his skull. "If you run, she'll catch you." So he did the insane thing. He took a step toward her. The leopard stopped, her ears flattened. For just a second, Marcus saw confusion flicker across her face. Prey didn't approach. "Come on," Marcus whispered, not even knowing why he was speaking. "Come on, you cursed beast." She charged. It was faster than thought. One moment she was 15 feet away. The next she was airborne, claws extended, jaws open wide enough to fit his entire head inside. Marcus saw every tooth, smelled the rot of old meat on her breath. Step into it. He didn't think. He dropped to one knee and thrust the spear upward with everything he had. The impact nearly ripped his arm from its socket. The spear caught her in the chest, not deep, not fatal, but enough to change her trajectory. Instead of landing on his throat, she crashed into his shield, sending him sprawling backward into the sand. The crowd exploded. Half were cheering, half were booing. They'd expected him to die in the first 3 seconds. Marcus rolled, gasping, tasting blood in his mouth. The leopard had landed badly, the spear still embedded in her shoulder. She was shrieking now, a sound that was somehow worse than a roar. It was pain, pure animal suffering. She turned to face him again, limping slightly, and Marcus saw something that made his stomach turn. Her ribs were showing. Carpophorus hadn't just starved her for 3 days. She'd been half-starved for weeks. They'd been torturing her long before this fight. "I'm sorry," Marcus heard himself say. "I'm sorry." But the leopard didn't care about apologies. She charged again, favoring her wounded shoulder, but still impossibly fast. This time Marcus wasn't fast enough. Her claws raked across his left arm, shredding through muscle like wet parchment. He felt the heat before the pain. 3 parallel gashes from shoulder to elbow. He fell backward, the shield slipping from his blood-slicked hand. The leopard was on top of him now, her weight crushing his chest. He could see his own reflection in her yellow eyes, could feel her hot breath on his face as she opened her jaws to finish it. His right hand found the spear shaft still jutting from her chest. Without thinking, Marcus grabbed it and pushed. The leopard's scream was human. She thrashed, trying to pull away, but Marcus held on with the last of his strength, driving the wooden shaft deeper, angling it upward toward her heart. Her claws dug into his chest, tearing through his thin tunic, but he didn't let go. For what felt like an eternity, they stayed locked together, boy and beast, both dying, both desperate. The sand around them turned dark red. The crowd's roar faded to a distant hum. Then finally, the leopard's movements slowed. Her eyes, which had been wild with rage and fear, went glassy. Her body went heavy on top of him. She was dead. Marcus lay there, unable to move, staring up at the pure blue Roman sky. His arm was on fire. His chest felt like it had been split open. He was pretty sure he was dying. But the crowd was on its feet, screaming, stamping, throwing flowers into the arena. They weren't throwing them for the leopard. They were throwing them for him. Guards appeared, dragging the leopard's corpse off his chest. Hands grabbed him, pulling him upright. Someone was shouting, "Victor! Victor!" Marcus looked down at himself. His body was covered in blood, most of it his, some of it the leopard's. He couldn't tell where one ended and the other began. Carpophorus appeared, a rare smile on his scarred face. "You stepped into it," he said simply. Marcus was half carried, half dragged back to the platform. As it lowered him back into the darkness of the hypogeum, he looked up one last time. The crowd was still cheering. For a moment, Marcus had been their hero. But as the trapdoor closed above him, shutting out the light and the noise, reality crashed back. He wasn't a hero. He was a slave who'd murdered a tortured animal to entertain people who saw both of them as disposable entertainment. His brothers were still alive somewhere in this city. He had to survive. He had to find them. The platform hit the bottom with a thud. Medical slaves rushed forward with bandages and vinegar to clean his wounds. Decius was there too, clapping him on his one good shoulder. 3 out of 10, Decius said quietly. "You're one of the 3, farm boy." Marcus looked at the veteran through eyes that felt like they belonged to someone else. "How many more fights?" he asked. Decius's smile faded. "Until you're not one of the 3 anymore." Somewhere above them, the crowd was already forgetting. The next fighter was being raised. The next beast was being released. The games continued, endless and hungry, fed by the blood of slaves and animals who'd never asked to be there. Marcus closed his eyes and tried to remember Aria's face, but all he could see were yellow eyes and bared teeth.
The vinegar burned worse than the claws. Marcus sat on a wooden bench in the recovery cells, his arm and chest wrapped in rough linen. The hypogeum smelled different now. It smelled of fear and exhaustion, like a battlefield after the fighting stops. Of the 10 men who had gone up that morning, 3 came back. One was unconscious, his leg shattered by a boar. The other was the Greek merchant. No, wait, the merchant was dead. Marcus blinked, his mind hazy from blood loss. The other survivor was a thief from Sicily who had simply outrun a bear until the animal collapsed from heat stroke. The crowd had booed him, but he was alive. Decius sat next to Marcus, cleaning a small knife. "You did well," he said. "The editor liked it. He threw you a coin." He pressed a small silver denarius into Marcus's good hand. It felt cold and heavy. "Keep it. Bribe a guard for extra food. You'll need your strength." "For what?" Marcus whispered. "To do it again?" "Tomorrow," Decius said, "or the day after. As long as you breathe, you fight." Marcus looked at the coin. On one side was the face of the emperor, the man who owned this arena, the man who owned Marcus's life. He thought about the leopard, the way her eyes had looked in those final moments. She hadn't hated him, she was just terrified. They were both victims of the same monster, and the monster wasn't in the cage, it was in the stands. "I can't do it again," Marcus said. His voice was hollow. "You have to," Decius replied, not unkindly. "What else is there?"
Marcus looked around the dark, damp cell. He saw the other slaves, broken men waiting to die. He saw the cages where fresh animals were already being loaded for tomorrow's games. He saw the guards laughing and gambling in the corner. "My brothers," Marcus said. "I have to find them." Decius stopped cleaning his knife. He looked at Marcus for a long moment. "If you survive 5 fights, sometimes they sell you to a gladiator school. Real training, real food, a chance to buy your freedom." 5 fights? Marcus repeated. The number sounded impossible. "It's a chance," Decius said. "Better than rotting here." Marcus closed his hand around the coin. He thought of his father dying in the mud back in Gaul. He thought of Arya waiting for a wedding that would never happen. And he thought of the leopard, whose only crime was existing in a world that wanted to watch her die. He stood up. His legs were shaky, but they held. 5 fights, Marcus said. He looked at Decius. "Teach me everything you know, how to use the spear properly, where to strike a bear, how to dodge a bull." Decius smiled, a real smile this time. "Get some sleep, farm boy. We start training when the sun goes down." Marcus walked to the small barred window that looked up at the street level. He could see the feet of people walking by, free citizens of Rome going home to their families, their dinners, their safe beds. They had cheered for his death today. Tomorrow, they would cheer for someone else's. But he was still here. He touched the bandages on his chest. The scars would never fade. He was marked now. He wasn't a farmer anymore. He wasn't a son or a lover. He was a bestiaris. And if Rome wanted a beast, he would become one. Not for their entertainment, not for their glory, but for survival. Because the only way to beat the monster was to outlive it. Marcus turned away from the window and walked back into the darkness of the cell. He lay down on the straw, the silver coin clutched in his fist like a weapon. Above him, the Colosseum stood silent and empty, waiting for the sun to rise on another day of blood. But tonight, Marcus slept, and in his dreams, he wasn't fighting leopards. He was running through green fields, free and unchained, and the only thing chasing him was the wind. Marcus's story is fiction, but his reality was shared by thousands. The Roman arena wasn't just a place of combat, it was a machine of industrial-scale slaughter. Historians estimate that over 400,000 people and 1 million animals died in the Colosseum alone. Entire species, like the North African elephant and the European lion, were driven to extinction just to provide a few afternoons of entertainment. So next time you see a movie glorifying the gladiators, remember Marcus, remember the leopard, and remember that the cheering crowd was us. If you want to know what happened to the women who were forced into the arena, yes, female gladiators existed, click this video right here. You won't believe how their stories ended.